What's up, guys? M. Jones in the house on a March 31st, Easter Sunday. Want to wish everybody a happy Easter, if you do celebrate Easter, of course. To get going with my Blu-ray update, I want to go over the things I've bought in the last week and a half, maybe just week. Had a pretty good week, bought a lot of things that I used to really enjoy when I was younger. Nothing real new, as it just came out from the theaters, but things that were just recently released on Blu-ray. So let's get to that. First thing I bought this week was Mommas House, a Martin Lawrence movie with Paul Giamatti and Nia Long and Terrence Howard. And I also think Anthony Anderson was in it as well. Movie I saw in the theater, I remember way back, I think, in high school. I kind of was a little sketchy about it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be any good. Really liked this movie. I mean, this is definitely, if I had a top 20 list of comedy, it's definitely in there somewhere. This movie's very funny. Martin Lawrence was on point as like an older African American woman that's all about the South and cooking and the love, and he was so funny as Big Mama, and I thought his makeup looked really similar to the woman, and it was actually Big Mama. And, just a movie I really loved, and I always thought it actually had a really good story to it. Don't want to spoil anything if you've never seen it, but he is a cop with Paul Giamatti, and they're trying to pretty much find some stolen things that they might think that Nia Long's involved with, but I'm not going to say any more if you haven't seen it. It's a really good movie. It's funny as hell. And Nia Long, she was Lisa on Fresh Prince, and she was in Friday, and she was really good in this. Where the hell is she at? Like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Well, let's figure out where Nia Long's at. I mean, I haven't seen her in years, and she was always good in movies. I don't know what happened to her. But pick this up, great movie. I was very happy to find this at Best Buy. I know I said this probably 2 weeks ago that I was hoping this would be on Blu-ray. I apologize, it was on Blu-ray, did not know that. I even looked and I never found this. But Follow the Bride, 1 and 2, it's a Blu-ray collection series. I was so happy to find this. One of the movies I saw as a kid, always really liked. It's probably the first chick flick I ever saw. I think if you can call it a chick flick. I was really happy to find this. I've always really enjoyed it. I always thought Martin Short was excellent in that movie. He played the European guy for the wedding and everything like that. And he used to say George Bonks. Like, I always loved how he said that. It was so silly. But Diane Keaton's great in this. Steve Martin's amazing. Just as a neurotic father. But I was so happy to find this one. Great movie. Definitely pick it up. I've seen this movie in the $7.99 Blu-ray bin for like a year and a half. I was like, you know what, dude, I feel bad for you. Get over here. You're coming home with me. So I finally bought Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I remember seeing this in the theaters in high school with my buddies, and it's an okay movie. It's a solid 5 or 6 out of 10. It's a very funny movie, but it's just silly. If you enjoy the Kevin Smith and the Jason Mewes, if they're Jay and Silent Bob, you'll like it. It's a pretty good movie. Will Ferrell, I thought, was really funny in it. He was I think a cop, I believe, or some kind of law enforcement. But he was really funny in that too. But this movie's pretty good. But I always liked it. I was like, I don't have it. I might as well get it. It's a nice collection item to have, and it's silly and it will make you laugh. But good movie to have, and check it out. Next one I bought, I was really excited about this because I was pretty sure it wasn't sold individually, and I had to finally get it because I remember when I was 8 years old, saw it in the theater with my mom, did everything but crap myself. Jurassic Park. Classic movie. Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, Newman was in it. I think his first name was Wayne. I forget his last name. Really love this movie. I had to get this movie. I remember when I was a kid, I was so petrified of like the velociraptors and the dinosaur that like opened up his face and like sprayed all that gunk all over Newman. Like, terrifying. I remember I was 8 years old. I was like, oh my God. I remember I was in the theater with my mom. I saw this with my mom. And right before the part where the guy gets eaten by the T-Rex from the bathroom stall, I think the John or the porta potty, outhouse, whatever. Like I was so freaked out. I remember asking my mom, can I please get some money to go get some like pretzel bites and cheese? Because I was terrified. I was such a wimp when it came to this movie. I'm better now. But I was terrified with this movie. But I was so happy to see it finally sold solo, because I thought the second one and third one, just, no thanks. I don't want it. Lost World was okay, Vince Vaughn. The third one was god-awful. But just, I wanted it so bad, and this was just released, I believe, this past Tuesday, I think March 26th, so I was really happy to finally get this by itself, not the other two. So definitely check this one out. It's a movie I think anyone who was born in the 80s really just had to see, in the 90s, because it was just such a huge deal, and it just was. I remember there was so many like items to purchase for this movie. I remember all the fast food restaurants had these endorsements for it, and Toys R Us had so many gadgets for it and toys. It just, I just absolutely love this whole movie, and finally can watch it without crapping myself. I never really want to do this too often, but I have a DVD to show, because this movie is an awesome movie, and it is not on Blu-ray yet, and I just recently purchased it with all the orders I've had this past week or so. But kids, this movie is really messed up. It's a very palpable movie. It's a movie I feel like you don't really need a script for, because this shit happens. Like, it's a movie basically about drugs, sex, teens, everything. It's all involved together. And it was with a young Choli Savigny, I think if I'm saying that right, and Rosario Dawson. They were young in this movie. Like, I would say late teen, if not early 20s. And they were playing like high school kids out of New York. And Justin Pierce is in this movie. He plays Casper. He's also the late Justin Pierce. He unfortunately took his life in the early 2000s. This movie is just, if you ever want your kids to be scared of anything, have them watch this movie, because it all comes around and you find out what happens. I don't want to spoil it if you've never seen it. I believe this movie came out in 1995, and it was written by the guy who also has directed the latest movie Spring Breakers with James Franco and Selena Gomez. His name is Harmony Korine. He's a strange individual, but I like him because he's different. Like, he's not something you usually see. But check this movie out. It's an interesting movie. It's kids with a lot of graphic content. That's all I can really say. So if you don't like that, do not watch it. But it's a really good movie, I think, for people to really see the rawness of life and how consequences can really get you in trouble. But a great movie. Love this movie. And I wish it come out on Blu-ray, but just happy to have it on DVD. Do not want to show too many DVDs like that. I'd rather just show Blu-rays. But anyway, next one had to get one of my girlfriend's favorites, and I think I just bought it for her. But I do like it too. But I'm really happy to get Mean Girls. It's just a cool movie. I think everyone's seen this movie. It came out like 2004. It's basically about the plastic girls of our high school society. And, Lindsay Lohan was, I think, a homeschooled forever, and she played Katie, and she had this crush on, like, the main girl in the plastic group's ex-boyfriend or something like that. And that was played by Rachel McAdams. She was Regina. And it just shows how cattiness really works in the world of women. And it's just, it transfers from high school to college for the rest of their lives, pretty much. And it was just, and no offense, I'm just saying. But it was just a great movie that I've always liked, and I never had it on DVD, never had it on VHS, never had it nothing. I saw it and I was like, I'm good. But a great movie to have in the collection, and it was really a good movie. And this was pretty much right before, if not during, Lindsay Lohan's downward spiral. So you can just you see her in the screen, you're just like, man, your life's gonna suck the next 10 years. But whatever. But a great movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I definitely think you should check it out, because you can see how some people can be in high school. It's pretty crazy. But check this out. Good flip. So excited to find this online. I found this online, not Best Buy or any other store to buy Blu-rays. But found Nutty Professor. 1996 summer classic. I saw this with my parents, laughed my ass off. I love everything about this movie. It's comedy genius from Eddie Murphy. You know, he played so many characters and they all seemed like they were separate people because he was so good with his voices and just the delivery was great. The dinner scene, probably one of the all-time best scenes in a movie for comedy. It's got to be in the top 10 for best scenes. It's so funny. You know, the grandma and the Nutty Professor's father, they're going back and forth, yelling at each other. Oh my gosh, it's so good. If you've never seen this movie, I feel sorry for you, but I won't ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. So I want you to see this movie. But there's so many good lines in this movie, and a young Dave Chappelle somewhat's in this, and you know, I'm pretty sure it was Jada Pinkett, and she was in that also. She was Carla, I believe, and just a great movie that. I remember as a kid, I never laughed so hard. You know, it was right up there with Dumb and Dumber for me laughing, and even The Hangover too years later. But a great movie. Please check it out. You know, you'll love this. The next one, have about 3 more. Parenthood, again another Steve Martin classic. It's basically about the life of being a parent and having young kids and what you go through financially. You know, hardships with your job. Your family, especially your parents, and your kid gets picked on a little bit, like how they handle it, and how, you know, your other family's kids are like excelling, and other ones are really not excelling, and it's a very good movie, and I feel like it's pretty accurate, and I feel like it's a movie that could happen, like that stuff could happen with real life. But Steve Martin, he reminds me of my dad so much with this movie. You know, because he cared so much about his kid, and he loved baseball, and he was all about, like, you know, tradition, like, you know, father and son here, and that son becomes a father, and father and son there. Like, you know, it reminds me of my father so much, and I love my dad with everything I have, and just I really feel like this part that Steve Martin plays is my dad. So I love watching this movie because I think of my dad that way, and I just think it's a great movie for our family to watch because it is very funny. It is absolutely hysterical. But you know, it's PG-13. It's about 2 hours long, and I honestly forget what year this came out, but I would say late 80s, definitely late 80s. Check it out, great movie, Parenthood. Second to last one, another Steve Martin. I didn't have this movie. I have it on DVD, and I was like, you know what? I need to have this movie. It's a classic. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, John Candy, Steve Martin. It's just cinema gold. The whole movie's great. I think a lot of movies have kind of done it a la this movie. Like Due Date reminds me of this movie. You know, Identity Thief a little bit to this movie. But, you know, Del Griffith, John Candy, you know, Neil Page is Steve Martin. It's just, those names I'll never forget because they were just so real people. One so goofy and silly with a heart of gold, and the other one just fed up, wants to get home for the holidays. If you haven't seen it, shame on you. So I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but to tell you anything, but like you got to see this movie. Just a classic. I love this movie. Watch it I believe I watch this movie every Thanksgiving night with my mom and my dad, and you know I love the tradition. I'm going to carry it on the rest of my life. Great movie, 1986 I believe. And the last one, Waterboy. Had to get it. I remember seeing it with my buddies back in middle school, and I just always loved this movie. I thought it was so funny how he would just tackle the shit out of the people, and like he could knock out anybody. And I remember when I was watching the previews for this movie before it came out, like the trailer on TV, I remember I was eating something, and right when the Colonel Sanders guy, the professor, like made fun of him, and he just turned around, sprinted, and speared him. I remember spitting out my food. I was laughing so hard. It's just a great movie to have to the collection. Is it a serious movie? No. Is it like a drama? No. It's a silly comedy with a little bit of storyline. You know, a solid 5 or 6 out of 10 as a movie. Solid 7 or 8, you know, comedy, you know, out of 10 for a movie. But you know, check this out. Great movie. But yeah, I'm gonna probably be purchasing more videos within the next 2 weeks, and I'll update you probably within a week or so. But again, happy Easter, all of you that do celebrate Easter, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye. Take it easy.